Hey everyone, my name is Dylan Cavanaugh. I'm in Mr. Jones' Communication 100 class, and this is my informative speech. So I want you guys to think about all the programs and apps that you use on a daily basis. All of them started with an idea that somebody had, and they wanted to program something, and there you go. That's how an app was made. These apps that we use on a daily basis or programs can have thousands, sometimes millions of lines of code in them. So you can kind of imagine just how hard of a task that this can be for a developer. So I'm going to be talking about one of the most widely used programming languages, arguably one of the most powerful programming languages. It's called the C programming language, like the letter C. What is C exactly? Well, it's a programming language. It was invented by one of the creators of the Unix operating system. His name is Dennis Ritchie. Unix was invented in AT&T Bell Labs, and this is where Dennis Ritchie created the C programming language. Basically, you guys use Linux more than you probably think. Most of the internet is run by a Unix-based operating system. It's called Linux. I'm actually using a Linux PC right now. This is Kali Linux. It's I used it whenever I was at SEMO, whenever I was a cybersecurity major. It has a lot of ethical hacking tools and programming tools that I like to use on a daily basis. So. Whenever we're creating C programs, they're used in a lot of things that you would think, like Microsoft Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Unix. It's all using C. Your car computers, a lot of those are written in C. Your phones, if you have an Android, hell, even an Apple phone, will all be running C. TVs, smart TVs. So I mean, those just to name a few. There's a lot out there that's running this language. You use it every day and just didn't even know it. So I'm going to start a demonstration of how to create your own C program language or C program and compile that program, and we're going to create a little executable. So I have here on my desktop, it says the C program. I'm just going to open up my terminal. This is, try not to pay attention too much of what I'm typing in. This has kind of, a different topic for a different day, but I'm just navigating through my computer here. And then, alright, so I'm in this folder right now. And I am going to basically show you guys how to write a program. So I'm going to start up my favorite text editor, which is called Vim, and I'm going to make a file called hello.c. All C files have a .c or a .h file extension, but we're going to keep it simple, just write a simple program. So we're in my text editor, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tell the compiler to include a standard library. So we just do standard io.h. Basically, IO stands for input and output, because all this program is going to do is print out hello world. So we have our include, and then we're going to create the main part of the program, and funny enough, this function is called main. And every C program has these curly braces right here. These curly braces basically just contain all the code within that main function. So what we're going to do is we're going to tab over to make it look nice and pretty. And there's another function called printf. Printf. Basically, whatever I put inside of this function, or we say pass inside this function, or pass an argument, I'm going to tell it to print out these characters or this text. So I'm going to put some quotes there, and then I'm just going to say hello world. And Don't pay attention to the /n. It's basically just telling the compiler to and the computer to create a new line. It's like hitting the enter button on your keyboard whenever you're typing up a paper. And all these lines we call statements. So any statement we have in C, we're going to end it with a semicolon. Then our next line, I'm just going to tell my main function that the program is done. So I'm going to say return 0. Alright, so this is a C program. All this is going to do is print out hello world, and that's it. So I'm going to save this file real quick. And if you notice, in this file, this C program file right here on my desktop, I have a hello.c file that we just created. So next we're going to talk about the compiler. GCC is the compiler that we're going to be using. It stands for the GNU Compiler Collection. It compiles many different programming languages like Fortran, Objective-C, C, C++, anything that you can think of. It's going to compile this, and it has a set of libraries that include statement we talked about earlier. This has those libraries in there, accessible to a user or a programmer. That way you just don't have to rewrite these simple programs. It's just kind of difficult to write those out every single time. So all we're going to tell the compiler, and a compiler just translates our C program into machine language, ones and zeros, something that the computer can understand. It can't read English words like that. So I'm going to tell it to output this to a program called hello. That's what we're going to call our executable, that thing that you can click on, that application, that program. We're going to call it hello. And then I'm going to tell the compiler to compile our .c file. It's going to translate it. So didn't take very long, did it? So we're going to look inside of our folder again, and we see that we have hello written right there. This is our clickable application. So let's do it the old-fashioned way. And that's going to tell our operating system to start that program. And as expected, it says hello world right there. So we have successfully created our first C program. Hello world, if you Google it online, hello world is the first program that any programmer will ever write. It just gets you used to the language, and it's very simple. So it kind of gets you used to these simple tasks. Now before we sum up, I'm going to show you another program that is pretty standard, and again, another first program. It's a calculator. So let's go to our calc on our desktop. We have our calculator.c, and I can show you that really fast. And this is a C program. It looks a lot more complicated. I'm not going to explain this. Basically, it's just using the same concepts that I discussed earlier. You can create programs like this. So if you see that little green calculator right there, I can just click on that. Alright, so let's say we want to add 2 plus 2. So I'm going to tell it add, and then 2 and 2. 2 plus 2 equals 4. So that's a brief introduction to the C programming language. I hope you all really enjoyed this as much as I did. It was a lot of fun for me. This is something that I love doing. In my pastime, I love programming. I love ethical hacking. It's just one of my favorite things outside of nursing school. So I hope you all have a nice break, and we'll see you on school on Monday.